I fell in love with a married man while engaged to my fiancé of 6 years. Now, regret coils around me like an unforgiving shadow as I struggle to reconnect with the man I once vowed to spend forever with. We had built 6 years of memories, stitched together with laughter, fights, and fragile promises. But in the 3rd year of our relationship, I shattered it all. I cheated on him with someone I never thought would cross that line, a close family friend. At the time, I was blinded by complacency, taking his love for granted as if it was a permanent fixture, unshakable and enduring. It became frighteningly easy to stray because I had stopped valuing what we had. The betrayal didn't stay hidden for long. He found out, and with a heart heavier than mine could ever be, he walked away. We were apart for months where loneliness became my cruel companion. It was during that solitude I realized just how incredible he was, how irreplaceable. I begged for him to come back. Desperation laced every word, every tear. And somehow, despite the wreckage I'd caused, he took me back, but not without conditions. The most sacred promise I made was to cut ties completely with the man I betrayed him with. I kept that promise. Since then, I haven't cheated. Not once. Temptation lost its allure because I finally saw the depth of what I almost lost. But life is rarely that simple. The man I cheated with, let's call him Eli, wasn't just a fleeting mistake. He was a close family friend, embedded in the fabric of our lives. Recently, I rekindled our friendship behind my fiancé's back. Nothing romantic. Just conversations, laughter, memories of simpler times. Have you ever met someone who's an awful partner but an incredible friend? That's Eli. I hated that a single, stupid mistake had destroyed our friendship. But secrets have a way of surfacing. My fiancé found out. His anger was palpable, crackling like static in the air between us. I apologized, trying to stitch words into something meaningful, but the wound was already reopened. We talked, if you can call tense exchanges and long silences talking, and then he needed space. Days passed before he sent me a message, not with tender words, but with demands. A blueprint for our relationship's fragile future. I copied his text word for word. Asterisk after thinking it over, I can't trust you. Whether it was platonic or not, this is the 2nd time, at least that I know of, where you violated my trust. The hardest part isn't this specific incident. It's the doubt that creeps in now. How many times have you done something behind my back that I'll never know about? You claim this is it, but how can I believe you? I love you, and I want to work on this relationship, but it's going to require a lot from you. We're postponing the wedding indefinitely. The first time we got back together, it took 10 months before I felt secure again. I have no idea how long it'll take this time. Eli is to be blocked on everything. You are never to speak to him again, not even at family events. If you know he'll be there, don't attend. If you didn't know when you see him, ignore him. I need unrestricted access to your phone, social media, emails, every password, every device. No hanging out with male friends alone. If you go out with your girlfriends, be home by 1. There will be more, but these are non-negotiable. If you're not willing to do this, then it's over. Take your time to decide. Asterisk. I called him immediately, my voice shaky with fear and defiance, but he cut me off. I'm not arguing about this, he said flatly. Call me when you've decided. I sat there, phone clutched in trembling hands, feeling the weight of it all. Was this too harsh? After all, I hadn't cheated this time. I've been faithful since the day he took me back. Yes, I was wrong to go behind his back, but did the punishment fit the crime? Eventually, I convinced myself. Okay, I whispered into the emptiness of my room, I'll do it. Maybe I just needed to hear myself say it out loud. If this was what it took to rebuild his trust, so be it. When people suggested I'd eventually cheat again, their words felt like knives. You think I can't follow his rules? I'd snap, defiant and defensive. Watch me. I don't let people tell me what I can't do. You'll see, I'll be laughing when we work through this, get married, and have kids. Update 1. We had a real conversation, not the stilted, tense ones from before, but something raw and vulnerable. He cried. Seeing those tears broke something inside me. He told me, "It feels like you don't value me." His voice cracked, and it hurt more than I thought possible. "Please," he whispered, "don't move forward with this unless you can promise you won't go behind my back again. I can't survive this kind of pain twice." I promised. With every fiber of my being, I promised. No more secrets. No more lies. We talked about his rules, and he admitted they'd be temporary, something to help us heal. We'd adjust them over time, especially when we started couples therapy. Now, the real work begins. I know it won't be easy, but I'm ready. Update 2. Next month, we're getting married. This fall, I'll be a wife. We've worked through so much, and I thought I'd left the past behind. But about 3 months ago, everything changed. At my job, a new coworker arrived. Handsome, magnetic, like gravity pulled me toward him. I've never been so physically drawn to someone. We started as friends, casual chats that grew into something deeper. I buried my feelings, pretending they didn't exist. But then he confessed, he felt it too. I told him we had to think about our partners. But feelings aren't logical. They grew anyway. He admitted he'd stopped being affectionate with his wife because it felt like cheating on me. And I stopped being intimate with my fiancé, too. The fallout will be catastrophic. He can't divorce his wife right away because of finances, but he will. We have a plan. I know I need to call off the wedding, but the thought of hurting my fiancé crushes me. When asked about my past infidelity, I found myself saying, "I've cheated before, but this is different. The first time, I was selfish. This time, I'm in love. I didn't choose this. No one chooses who they love. And that's the terrifying truth. This whole experience has taught me how messy, how heartbreakingly complex love can be. Love is a labyrinth, and I've only just realized I've been wandering its corridors without truly finding the heart of it. This revelation crushes me, leaving a hollow ache where certainty once lived. It feels like a cruel twist of fate. I never wanted to be here. My heart shatters knowing I must call off the wedding. He's a remarkable man, deserving of a love that mirrors his own, fierce and unwavering. I wish I could summon that love, wish I hadn't let my heart stray, because life would be so much simpler. The thought of hurting him is unbearable, but this truth presses down on me like a weight I can no longer carry. I've rehearsed the words in my mind, searching for a way to soften the blow, but there's no easy escape from this. It's not just his heartbreaking, mine fractures with it. When people label me gullible for believing in the married man's promises, their words sting sharper than they know. I keep telling myself I'll be honest with my fiancée soon, but the situation with the other man's wife? That's tangled in complications. He says he needs time to untangle his finances first. Update 3. After countless sleepless nights and confronting the reflection of my own choices, I ended things with my fiancé. It was like tearing my soul apart. I know many will see me as the villain, and perhaps I am. But the agony of this decision is something I carry alone. I wish I could erase the part of me that fell for someone else, wish I could stitch my heart back to where it belonged. But I can't. I've made peace with that truth, even if no one else does. I care deeply for my ex-fiancé, and despite the wreckage, I believe this was the most honest act of love I could offer, setting him free. When he asked why, I told him the truth, that my heart had betrayed him, falling for another. I needed him to know he wasn't a placeholder, not some backup plan. He deserved more, and somewhere out there, someone will give him that. We both deserve that kind of happiness, even if it means walking separate paths. To those who insist a married man will never leave his wife for me, I respond with hope, clinging to the fragile promises he made. He says he's planning a divorce, though the process is a tangled web of finances and legalities. My break was simpler, no shared assets, no legal battles. His is a storm still brewing. But today, I set a boundary. I want everything resolved by the end of the year. Enough time to sort his life out. Come 2025, I want us to be just us, no shadows lingering. Update 4, life has a cruel sense of irony. The man I thought I loved turned out to be a stranger, wearing a mask of lies. His wife discovered his infidelities, not just with me, but with countless others. The betrayal stung deeper than I expected. I was just another name on his list. I severed all ties, relieved that his deceit finally unraveled. In the wreckage, I saw a truth I had been too blind to see. My ex-fiancé was my true love all along. The realization hit like a freight train, crushing me under its weight. I reached out, desperate to salvage what I'd lost. But his words were final, carved into my heart like stone. He will always love me, but he's done. The pain was unbearable, a wound I couldn't close. Reflecting on it all, I see how my choices led me here. His lies don't absolve me of mine. What I did was unforgivable, but the lesson is carved deep into my soul. Now, on to the next story. Story 2, love isn't always lost in a dramatic fall. Sometimes it fades like a photograph left too long in the sun. My love for my husband began to erode the day he made me choose between an open marriage and divorce. Leo, 34, and I, 30, have been together for 7 years, married for 4. We decided early on, no kids. Life felt settled, predictable even, until 2 years ago when Leo dropped the bombshell. He wanted an open marriage. The words gutted me. Why wasn't I enough? The thought of sharing him felt like standing barefoot on broken glass. He swore he still loved me, claimed it was just to spice things up. Just sex, he said. No emotional ties. I asked if there was someone else. He denied it, but his eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't trust. His persistence was relentless, chipping away at my resolve. After a week of emotional warfare, he cornered me with an ultimatum: open marriage or divorce. Terrified of losing him, I chose the lesser heartbreak. We crafted rules like fragile armor, no bringing partners home, regular STD checks, 1 weekend a month reserved just for us, and no dipping into shared finances. For the first 3 months, I stayed on the sidelines, while Leo plunged headfirst into this new life. He came home with a glow I hadn't seen in years, full of stories and laughter, while I sat with an ache growing in the hollow spaces he'd left behind. Loneliness crept in, whispering that I wasn't enough. I confided in my sister, Katie, 26, and my best friend, Jesse, 30. Katie urged me to fight fire with fire. If Leo could do it, so could I. But self-doubt anchored me. I wasn't the type men pursued. Overweight, never conventionally beautiful, I feared rejection more than heartbreak. But Katie and Jesse wouldn't let me drown. They crafted my dating profiles, and to my shock, the world responded. When I told Leo, expecting jealousy or concern, he barely blinked. Do what makes you happy, he said. Jesse helped me pick my first date. It was magic, not in the fairy tale sense, but in the way he saw me, really saw me. No pressure, no expectations. Eventually, we became intimate, but it was fleeting. Still, it lit a spark I thought had long burned out. I kept dating. Men showered me with attention, treating me to experiences I never thought I'd have. Some connections were fleeting, others passionate enough to rewrite the definition of desire. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Now, I juggle 2 relationships alongside Leo. Mark, 38, has been my steady anchor for 6 months, while Stephen, 25, is a whirlwind fling. They know about Leo, and they're unbothered. Leo's adventures, however, fizzled. The charm wore off, and frustration set in. His dates dwindled, while mine flourished. Resentment simmered beneath his smiles. He hasn't asked to close the marriage, but I feel it in the way he lingers longer, reaches for me more, plans dates I often decline. He's trying to reclaim something that's already slipping through our fingers. I don't think I love Leo anymore. The thought slides in quietly, like a whisper I've been trying to ignore. Do I care about him? Yes. But love? That fierce, heart-racing, soul-anchoring kind of love? It's gone, evaporated into something lukewarm and distant. I'm not claiming to love Mark or Steph either, but the closeness I feel with Mark outshines whatever remains with Leo. Mark wraps me in comfort and security. With him, I breathe easier, laugh louder. I crave our time together more than the hollow routine I share with my husband. Steven is different too, funny, sweet, electrifying in ways that Leo hasn't been for a long time. And yes, the sex with him is incredible, a connection that leaves me reeling. Katie and Jesse have been nudging me toward divorce for over a year now. Their voices echoed in my mind, but fear always held me back. Fear of hurting Leo, fear of admitting that maybe, just maybe, I didn't love him anymore. I convinced myself otherwise. But deep down, I think my love died the moment he suggested an open marriage. That was the fracture point, the invisible line we crossed, never to return. Now, watching him sulk and bristle because the arrangement isn't tipping in his favor? It's repulsive. The hypocrisy turns my stomach. But does that mean divorce is the answer? I don't know. I still care about him. I don't want to crush him, to leave him broken. Maybe, if he finally asks to close the marriage, we could find our way back. Maybe.